Needed to make a video. My teeth hurt really bad right now. I don't know. I don't know what device they're using that's shooting into my jawline, but it's been hurting for about 2 weeks now, and it was violently hurting really bad and still hurts. It feels like the nerves or the root canals. I don't know what it is, but it just hurts. And it's just not a couple of teeth. It's the entire row of teeth, top and bottom. And I can tell that they're shooting it because literally overnight, it just all started hurting. Both row, top and bottom row. And I don't know if they also, this is what my idea is. It's either an electronic device they shot, or they put something in my food that makes it really highly sensitive on the teeth, on the bones of the teeth and gums where the nerves are, where it's unbearable to withstand. And I thought it would be important for me to say this because I don't know if somebody poisoned and came in and did something to the food. It's very likely that does something to the gums and teeth, or it's an electronic device, the sonic frequency waves that are strictly narrowed intentionally to target the gums and teeth, and they shoot that device, and then it starts hurting, and it basically bruises the gums, and that's why it becomes the way that it feels like. You know, when you kind of have like cavities, that's exactly what it feels like on all the teeth at one time, literally overnight. And I know that it's somebody shooting it also because at the same time it feels like somebody was bashing one side of my face, like I was being punched. And this night that I just woke up, I was asleep, and I was just totally asleep. It was about 3 hours to 2 hours before I fell asleep, before I woke up, and it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and maybe even 4 o'clock. And when I was asleep, I felt, I'm not kidding you, I'm sound asleep. In the middle of nowhere, somebody shot an electronic device into my rectum. I'm laying down on my bed against my stomach, flat asleep, and I could feel somebody shoot an electronic device and violently, and I started screaming. I go, what the f-? And I started screaming because the electronic devices they shot, they literally felt like somebody was raping me. It was extremely violent. I was literally laying on my bed like this. I was laying on my bed like this, flat stomach, and I could feel that somebody shot an electronic device into my rectum, and I just started screaming, and I started to say, what the fuck, and shooting me. There's a guy downstairs that looks exactly like Ken Cooper, or is trying to portray the white supremacist Ken Cooper, do it for his mascot. And I could hear he was making some sort of commotion. So they signaled the person downstairs to do this to me. I thought it's important because I don't know who's responsible for what electronic device they're doing this to me. Much of this I really think at times that I don't think it could be the president. It could be someone that is adding their own elements on top of whatever anyone else is doing to me because they're raping me. So, and I kind of moved a little bit because I was sound asleep, and I didn't know because I'm so disoriented because I'm asleep. I'm in a deep sleep. You can see how they make me burp. That's an electronic device. And I just felt them use the electronic frequency again on my body. So I wanted to make this video in desperation, but please understand that they're violently raping me with these electronic devices. I just felt somebody now shoot a sonic wave, a frequency wave into my fucking head, and it hurts my brain. So I wanted to make this video that they're torturing the hell out of me while I'm living here. I don't know what to do. I will be leaving here from this apartment. I don't know what the outcome of my life is going to be, but I know that I'm always going to keep trying. I'm 41 years old. I'm going to keep trying the best that I can to take care of myself. And I just don't think the outcome of my life is going to be any better. It's never going to, and I just know that this is the existence that I have. You know, but I know that I'm trying to do the best that I can with whatever I'm allowed to do. And all I know is that it's very much of a burning hell of torture what they're doing to me. They want to control me mentally, and the way they do that is they beat the fuck out of me physically with these electronic devices. And a lot of this doesn't have anything to do with anyone else other than they're running their own criminal police department against me, an organization that has their own law enforcement against me. That isn't just the corrupted police officers that are playing along with it. They're running their own police force on me. They have their own law system that they run, an organization of the gay community that's responsible for doing this to me. But like I said, I don't understand. I'm 41 years old and they've been doing this for 12 years. And I was raped by a person that had their testicles and penis removed. It's like an amputee. It's like someone that has had their genitals. This is a dismemberment of a human body, of a person that dismembered their body and raped me, and I'm a cancer patient. You couldn't probably get more of a disgusting of a parasite of a human being that doesn't know what's going on to make an action like that. And a huge part of me, and I still don't think, this person doesn't know what's going on. That I don't blame them as much as what was happening. This person does not know what's going on. There's mentally, they are disfigured. And I feel like I don't blame them because something horrifically happened to them mentally. And the beatings of the electronic devices and the harassment is what caused that. And whoever ordered her to do this, it wasn't Cisco's sister, who I think it may have been, or that was who I think that was next to her. I don't know if that was. It wasn't her. It was someone else. This person, it was my aunt's friend, and it was the guy that worked at Advanced Graphics, who worked under Mike Standish in Capel. Like I said, you know, this is a never-ending thing. This is beyond anything that I can really understand why the police department didn't get directly involved in this. I've had a murder attempt placed on me, who was planned against me for a threat many years ago. My mother I had no communication with, and I've only been talking to her identical twin now for over 20 years. It's maybe even more than that that's been fooling me the entire time. My mother's twin is harassing the shit out of me, and I'm calling her on. She calls me on the phone, and she's directly saying things that I know that someone is telling her to threaten me and to make my life. They're trying to direct the blame at her as much and do a very sick psychology, because she said, oh, my teeth are starting to hurt and I have to go to the dentist. She doesn't know that they're shooting me with electronic devices and they're beating the fuck out of me, and they tell her, and I could tell that they're telling her to say this, and she's reading it. I can hear her over the phone and how this bitch is fucking doing this to me. She knows I'm being tortured and controlled, and she's playing along with it and willing to do it because the people that are doing this to me are telling her, we're going to give you money and we're going to give you a house, and we pay for this house and car, and we're the ones that keep you alive, so just do what we tell you to do. And that's why. So I just got off the phone with her, and she's been making threats, over the phone to use it as a way that I'm being beaten by these electronic devices and these people that are doing it, and I don't know who's responsible exactly who's doing this. But it's a very, very tight organization and group of psychologists and people that are funding. I don't know who's spending the money to steal all my dad's property and my dad's house and all this money and everything and all these things that are going on. But they literally they have stolen everything from me. They've stolen everything I've ever worked for in order to glorify themselves and say, no, we control your mother and we say where your dad's money goes. And they just showed up, and these are all homosexual faggots. This is who's doing this. I don't know who's sponsoring my mother and all her money, but I had no control over that or say so. What my father owned in his house and money, I have every bit of right, and I should have every bit of right to say, but I'm not his biological son. Now, I didn't find this out until later, and it's already 20 years down the road. My mother's twin has been scolding me. She knew about this murder attempt that happened to me. And now they're going to try to clean up this murder attempt using directly her in order to wipe their own goddamn ass of what they did to me. This is very serious. I made a police report like 7 years after the murder attempt. And when I went there, when the police officer showed up, the police officer was then threatening me in a way that it was haggling, like he was happy and glad that the murder attempt happened and they got away with it. His behavior actually showed no concern of having a knife pulled up to my throat and kicked and beaten and had fractured ribs. And like I said, when I went out there to that cemetery and I called them on site 7 years later, and the reason I didn't call the police was because they were threatening me for so many years and so long, and there was hundreds of people that then began to threaten me and use that incident for themselves. If you don't do what I tell you to do, I'll send another murder attempt on you and we can do it. So I want to say this because I showed up to my mother's boyfriend's house, Lucio, in Garland. That was my mother's twin. It wasn't my mother. She saw me covered in blood. It wasn't my mother. And she's playing along with it. She directly wants to harm me. And I'm not saying that she went and said, yeah, go do the murder attempt on me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you right now, it's probably been for the last maybe 2 years now, she has become, and especially in the last year or so, she has been so vengefully over the phone retaliating against me. She wants to harm me. She wants to mentally harm me and has a very vengeance toward me. And it's the psychologists that are trying to use her as a weapon against me because of what they did and what they're responsible for. They don't want to go to prison, they don't want to go to jail, and they're spending all their money to buy anything and purchase anything off. I'm saying this video in the most honesty that I can get it. I'm telling you right now, even when I spoke to my mother's twin in person, who I didn't know the entire time it was my mother's twin, she wants to harm me. She wants to retaliate against me. I'm telling you right now, I know my mother. That is not my fucking mother. I said this so many times. I said, what the fuck is wrong? It's like something's wrong. Something doesn't lining up. Something is fucking wrong. This isn't my mother. This bitch has been retaliating against me very vengeful. Very disgustingly vengeful. Now they want to use it because they want to know that I'm going to want to direct the anger and frustration towards somebody, and it's them that's doing it because my mother has a first grade education and is as smart as a bag of rocks. If my mother is as smart as a bag of rocks, then that means your twin is nearly that much more different. And they're trying to turn everything against me to make me look like an enemy. I've seen videos of The Rock threatening me, talking about my biological father already deceased, that he had a heart attack, and that he wasn't able to, I'm not going to be able to reconcile with him. He's defending Ken Cooper, and he wants possession over the dead little girl. So it's him, several other celebrities are eventually, every single 95% of every single top celebrity in the world, in the U.S., in Hollywood, in LA, has any acknowledgement of my life and existence in life, is bashing the shit out of me all over Instagram, videos I'm watching, on interviews. They're delivering their homosexual gay community strength messages and mentioning me on talk shows. I can't even explain the amount of people that fucking hate me and hate my guts, want me. It's like like wishing me dead, like hoping I fucking die and suffer. Like I am really hated among those people. So I think it's important for me to make a video on this. That it's a huge, I don't know who's spending this money, but they have all the money in the world to use against me and steal whatever they want and take whatever they want. And since I don't want to go along with what they're telling me, they're just beating the fuck out of me. They're just physically, there is an electronic device that they're using into my, like a frequency. They'll shoot into my head and my body, making my muscles tissue twitch, irritating the fuck out of me, violently raping me last night, so that I do and stay submissive to everything that they want. And when I don't go along with what they want, and in order to mentally confine me, they start shooting a very slight muscle twitch that just moves the small portion where you see that red dot is, it just moves and it twitches that part of the muscle. And they shoot the bottom underneath my calves to say, bow down, who's your fucking God? No, I told you fucking you worship Jesus. And so they do this shit. But what it does to the human brain and body is, whatever excuse they have, it's just that I stay submissive to everything and obedient and believe of what they're doing to me in my own environment, using my own physical body against me. That's why they're making me shit every single morning, because they say, okay, well, that's a good boy. Oh, no, that's a good boy. That's what you're supposed to do. You see, that's what you do. I've been living like this for over 10 years. Over 10 years they've been doing this to me, training me like a fucking animal and like a dog. So I think it's important for me to talk about, and I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that I'm leaving here. I'm going to get to Dallas and use my voucher, if it's transferable, which is supposed to be. But once my voucher Section 8 voucher is transferable, I'm going to try to look for an apartment. I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to get an apartment, because they have so much control over my phone. Every digital thing that I touch over my phone, they have control over. Even as I'm talking to you, I just felt them shoot me in my electronic, on my hand, my finger. But I'm going to try to look for an apartment when I get to Dallas. They're going to determine whether they want to give me an apartment or not. But I'm going to try to look for an apartment with voucher rate for the first 4 months that I'm giving before it expires. I'm not going to look for an apartment even while I'm living here before I get there, because it's just going to waste time. They don't give a shit. They say they don't have to give me an apartment if they don't want to. And they're going to decide that. And so, but I'm going to try when I get there and pay for a place to live. So that's what my plans is. My life isn't going to it's never going to change. It's never going to change into justice and retaliation that I eventually want, and the justice for God and the justice for my life and what they did to my father. I want justice personally because of the torture they have done to me, and that's never going to happen. They're just going to keep torturing me. Like, as I'm talking to you right now, they're slightly then shooting an electronic device into my brain, like hitting my brain. Like, I told you how to fucking think. I do what I tell you to do what I tell you to do what I tell you to do. And they're just toying with me right now. And I can feel them shoot wherever these electronic devices are shooting me from. So my life is never going to get better. All I know is that I'm going to try to stay alive, and I'm going to try to do the best with what I do have and do get to have in my existence of life. I can't do anything else, but I just know that they're in control, and they say what goes in my life. They can cut off my disability benefits. They can do anything they fucking want at any given time they want. They could give me more money if they want to. It's all entirely up to them. They say where I live, how the people come across me, violently either harassing me or threatening me to do as they say, or I get violently attacked by these electronic devices. And it's a very mental conditioning to say that they don't have anything to blame now. I don't know how any of this can happen where you can have a murder attempt placed on you and get away with it in any form of the way. You would have gotten, these guys would have gotten probably 20 years apiece inside the penitentiary and literally walked away free. Nothing. And the police officer that I reported this to was very haggling and very disconcerted in any kind of the form of the way when I spoke to this pig. When I spoke to this fucking pig, he didn't give a goddamn fuck about my life. I mean, this guy was like, you could tell the way he was behaving, he was thrilled and happy it happened, and he was using that as a weapon against me in that event. He was using as little help as he could as an officer in any form of the way to assist me in any kind of form of the way. And this is a real life murder attempt. I don't know any way how the President of the United States could have staged this or wanted this, but I always believed that it was the President of the United States that organized that murder attempt that was placed on me, placing a knife up to my throat and beating the shit out of me as I was screaming for help. And I could not run for my life. At a cemetery, homeless, no money to begin with. I think I had $120 at most, but I think it was like 30. I don't even. That's over exaggerated. I think it was like $30 or $40 or something like that. But at least for that money. But the violent beatings was very awful. It was very bad. So I wanted to make this video. About Michaela as well. And I was thinking of this. I didn't think about this up until until today. And I thought, well, I don't know who told Michaela, who was my half sister, that I biologically we share the same father. I don't know who told her where I was when I went to the grocery store, and she walked right past by me, and I was all rugged and homeless and dirty. And I looked pretty filthy. I looked like a guy that was living underneath a bridge, sleeping next to a trash can. I looked like someone was living underneath a fucking bridge. I didn't, I was scruffy, looked like I'd been wearing the same clothes, dirty. And I say this because Michaela walked by me at the grocery store many years ago before I was on disability. And it was before, see, I can feel them right now shooting me right now, violently on my finger. And they're right now, my finger, they're shooting me, my pointer finger right now. And it hurts. This is how they discipline me. They play these sick psychological games with my physical body, indicating how they want to punish me. And now that I feel like they're shooting me a device, it makes me want to feel like I'm crying. And I can feel it pulsate. I can feel it pulsate like it hurts. And it's strictly only in where you see that red dot. It's strictly only in that area. It's not the whole finger. It's strictly only in that part of it, right below the nail, and it hurts. I can. This is not an unusual, painful feel you get from a disease or anything. This is an electronic device right now that they're shooting at me that is physically hurting right now. And they're doing it right now behind a computer screen, wherever these remote people are doing it from. Damn motherfuckers. I don't know if Michaela knows who told her I was there, but she showed up by herself. And all the electronics devices felt like they had turned off for just a moment. For a period of time, every electronic device. When she was walking by me, she knew exactly who I was. She didn't say anything, and she was somewhat of a distance from me. And she didn't have groceries. She was there to spot me. She was there to identify me. Like, you know how you go to a morgue and you identify whether you know this person is dead on a fucking gurney? That's exactly kind of what I thought to myself. Is that would she? Now that I think of it, because when she walked by me, it wasn't like feeling sympathy for me. It wasn't asking me questions. It was from a distance walking past by me just to identify me. Like to identify who it was. And I looked directly at this person and I didn't know who they were. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty girl. But I kind of felt withdrawn for a moment. And I was like, because they don't allow any heterosexual females to be around me at all. Any straight, real, authentic born females at all. But I do know that when she walked by me, she didn't say anything, and she was just like to identify me. It was weird. She was just there to say, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's him," and to see if whether I knew who she was, and I didn't. So I say this because after she walked by me, like 6 months later, she saw me over at the Magic Time Machine while I was working and showed up, and then I didn't know who this person was. This person seems to be focusing and looking at me like they knew who I was. I didn't know who they were. And they showed up with some other blonde guy. So, other than that, you could tell the guy was gay, without a doubt. He was 100% gay. But anyway, 2 years later, I'm 37 years old. I see her over at Lawrence Community Shelter. I had no idea that's her. But something I want to talk about my homeless experiences. I highly doubt that Michaela wouldn't have felt emotional or shared some sort of tears or crying, knowing that said, "You see that guy right there? That's your brother, living underneath the bridge, homeless in a backpack. Yeah, Michaela, that's your brother right there. That's what they fucking did to that's what they did to your brother, who you've never known, or you just finally met or understood you had a brother. It's your brother right there." That sounds to me like a very emotional, crying situation for a female, especially by looking at her. I highly doubt that this person didn't feel emotional, because transgenders are the most unemotional, unempathetic pieces of shit you can imagine. They're fucking disgusting. As creatures are fucking disgusting. Very unempathetic and does not have empathy. Very little, if any. They're very dark mentally. Very sick. But I do know that seeing a female, given the fact she's my sister, she's my blood sister, I know that she had to have cried or felt very emotional and be like, that's how you see your brother. That's how you get to identify him. He's a homeless bum with a backpack and all filthy and dirty, walking in a grocery store just wandering like a worthless piece of shit. And what these faggots and these people did to him. He didn't do anything, and these faggots is what did this. I was nearly digging in trash cans around this time. It was before I got on disability, and I was like 34 years old, 35 years old when she walked by me. I was like 35 to 34 years old. And she just walked by me, and she looked nearly exactly the same as I remember seeing her. So, but who wouldn't? You know, what real female like her wouldn't feel tearful like, I never met my brother, and that's how you met your brother. All homeless, bummed out like a piece of shit that these you motherfuckers and faggots fucking did to him. I know if I were to see my sister, Michaela, and I was in a good position, and I found out that this was my sister, all prostituted in some gutter, alley, being raped and, by some big old black nasty nigga, I would cry too. I would get emotional. I've seen that she was being prostituted and being treated like shit. I would too. Now this guy downstairs keeps hitting the fucking wall and crucifix, telling me I better worship and apply Jesus to this situation. This is exactly how he's threatening me. I can feel the electronic device that they're shooting violently kind of just shudders and tickers my body. Do what I tell you. I told you Jesus clean now. Apply Jesus what I told you to do. It's this faggot downstairs that's doing it. And stop! That's all this faggot piece of shit is doing. Anyway, I just came to think of it. I think Michaela could have felt crying and emotional. I know she did. It's very sad to see. Who wouldn't feel sad for something like that? I had no idea she was my sister. I had no idea she's walking by me like the way that I didn't know my sister was walking up and down the sidewalk. I didn't know it was my sibling. So anyway, I thought I'd say something, make a video about it. I'll talk about some other subjects some other time on a different video, but I'm being tortured beyond anything you can imagine. They're torturing the fuck out of me while I'm living here. And these electronics, it's never going to change. But it's better for me to keep hope. I will find more hope somewhere else. But I'm not going to find hope here. It's not going to happen here. I need to keep hope alive, and I need to find hope somewhere else. But it's not going to be here. And it's not going to be in this crucifix and this guy that's doing this and the electronic device is beating. There's no hope. And whatever it is that these people, they're running their own campaign of who God is. I'm being threatened over the phone by PayPal customer service telling me that they're God. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, and they directly said this over the phone to me over the phone. I swear to fucking God, they were over the phone telling me that they were God. Because that's what God said. And they're threatening me over the phone because I better listen to their crucifix because they're threatening me and haggling me over the phone. I don't know who's doing this. So it sounds like some Filipino, some transgender piece of shit that's doing this over the phone. I've never heard of any situation ever in my life where somebody can claim that they're God themselves and tell me that over the phone. I've never heard of it. I don't know what's crazy psychology of manipulation. I don't care who you are to say that you're God and that's what God said, and they're doing that to me over the phone. So I don't know what to tell you, but I'll make another video. They're beating the hell out of me. I'm beginning to really think more and more that some of this has nothing to do with the president. It's someone is spending the money that's doing this to me, that's torturing me. But they're beating the fuck out of me. They're raping me violently with these electronic devices, beating me physically and mentally and emotionally to control me like an animal, like a worthless dog living underneath, eating in a trash can. Just a worthless, torturing the shit out of me to make me believe what they want, to make me confine me to believe the personal stories about my dad, my sister, who passed away, and everything that happened in that house, how I feel about the situation. They're trying to infest lies about my life and what happened, and then beating me to force me to believe and say that that was the truth and it wasn't. They're forcing me and beating me to want to believe their lies, and that's what they're doing to me violently.